Now, when buying or selling a home, there are several closing costs that are associated with the transaction. Now, these costs are typically paid at closing of the sale and can vary based on the location, the type of property, and other factors. Now, my name is Rock Daniels. I am the Bluegrass Realtor, a 20-year veteran realtor, real estate investor, and I'm a licensed general contractor. So hit that subscribe button so you and I can stay connected. Now, it is important for both buyers and sellers to understand the standard closing costs and who is responsible for paying them at closing. Now, in general, the buyer is responsible for paying the majority of the closing costs, but the seller may also be responsible for some costs depending on the specifics of the transaction. Now, here are some of the standard closing costs that are typically included in a real estate transaction. Now, the first one is the loan origination fee. Now, this fee, it's charged by the lender for processing the loan application and is typically a percentage of the loan amount. Now, the second thing is the appraisal fee. Now, this fee is paid to the appraiser for determining the value of the property. Another one is the credit reporting fee. This fee covers the cost of obtaining the buyer's credit report. There's also a title search and title insurance. Now, the buyer is typically responsible for paying for the title search to ensure that the property has a clear title. Now, title insurance protects the buyer from any future claims against the property. All right. You now have attorney's fees. Now, in some states, an attorney is required to be present at the closing. Sometimes it's just a notary. But the buyer may also have to hire or choose to hire an attorney to review all the closing documents if it's not required. So another thing is recording fees. These cover all the costs of recording the deed and other legal documents with the county's recording office. We also have escrow fees. Now, these fees are paid to the escrow company to handle the closing process. There's home inspection fees. Now, the buyer may choose to have a property inspected by a professional inspector. Yes, you should. And to identify any potential issues there may be with the property. There's property tax and insurance. Now, the buyer is typically responsible for paying for property taxes and insurance at the time of closing. Now, the specific costs associated with a real estate transaction, it can vary depending on the location and many other factors. For example, in some states, the buyer may be required to pay a transfer tax, while in other states, this tax is paid by the seller. Now, it's important for both buyers and sellers to understand the closing costs associated with real estate transactions and who's responsible for paying them. Now, in most cases, the buyer is responsible for paying the majority of the closing costs, but the seller may also be responsible for some closing costs depending on the specifics of the transaction. Now, a qualified realtor or an attorney can provide guidance and advice on the specifics of closing costs for a particular real estate transaction. Now, remember, guys, my name, Rock Daniels. I am the Bluegrass Realtor. So hit that subscribe button so that you and I can stay connected for future videos. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a wonderful day.